Hey friends, welcome to today's video. Today is going to be the greatest day of your life. Habits are a normal part of life. And good habits such as showering, brushing your teeth, or paying your bills will generate the results we want in life. However, bad habits such as smoking or watching too much TV can destroy everything. I personally have some bad habits that don't serve me well. I think we all do. And the trick is becoming aware of them and then taking the time to weed them out of our lives. And before we get too far, I just wanted to just establish with you what a habit actually is. Think of a habit as an idea that has been planted in the garden of your mind and then fed repetitively, and after sufficient time, you act on that idea without giving it any conscious thought. Here's an example of how a habit is formed. Think of it this way. Imagine you're about to clean the kitchen after a small dinner party. After gathering all the dishes and filling the sink with sudsy warm water, you start washing and rinsing the glasses. Now suppose a friend walks in and says that you should wash the plates and silverware before cleaning the glasses. What would you do? I'd probably feel awkward about washing the dishes in that order, and I would likely refuse. But, that's because when I was young, I had a parent or some other caretaker who always washed the dishes in the same order with the glasses first. And by watching, helping, and then eventually doing it myself, the idea of washing dishes in a specific order was planted in my mind over and over until it became my way of washing dishes. And of course, you don't just form habits for doing productive things like cleaning in the kitchen. You develop habits to accomplish everything that you do, or whether it's productive or not, from others around you. You don't realize, but you're constantly picking up habits and ideas from others, and it develops you into who you are today. And that's why it's recommended by many. You're the product of the 5 people you hang out with most often. And that's why they'll say, if you want additional success in your life, find people who are doing what you want to do, hang around them, you'll become like them and garner abilities and ideas that will put you into a circumstance where you can have success doing like things. But unfortunately, it's not easy to change a bad habit, but it can be done. I'll give you an example. You might do okay by focusing on becoming more aware of your bad habits and then developing some strategies to counteract them. You could, for instance, avoid walking down the hall where there's a candy machine, or resolve to avoid going places where you drink too much alcohol. And those are strategies that sometimes work. You might find it helpful to visualize yourself in a tempting situation and then mentally practice engaging in better behavior. And for example, if you're going to a party and want to eat vegetables instead of fattening foods, you could visualize yourself doing that. Either of these two approaches can help you to change a bad habit. However, I believe a third method is far more effective strategy at changing a bad habit. And this strategy involves replacing a bad habit with a good one. For example, many years ago, I used to hang around the wrong people and the wrong establishments. And by that, I mean, when I was younger, I would go out and drink a lot with friends, and I thought that was fun. I was socializing, but on one day I went into my favorite establishment and I looked around, and as I lifted up a glass to sip a drink, I thought, there's nothing but bums in here. And I put the glass down and I said, I'm never going back in there again. I'm never going to drink again. And I'm not, and I don't. And here's the reason why. I go into these establishments, and usually when I go somewhere with my family, I look around. Are these people that I want to be around? Does this establishment or do these people represent the life or the lifestyle that I want to live? And most of the places I was going to at that point in time in my life were not conducive of the type of success I wanted to realize. So I stopped going to those places. I stopped going out on Friday nights and having benders and doing things like that. And the need to socialize changed, and I put myself in different types of social circumstances. And what I would tell myself is, I will go somewhere if my wife and children are welcome. If I want to go somewhere where my wife and children can't be there with me, then I probably don't need to be there. And that worked for me. That's what I did instead. So you know what? Then I would do different things, and I didn't try to overhaul the whole system at once. But I would just change minor things about myself that I didn't like. Now, I wasn't an alcoholic, but I just didn't find myself comfortable engaging in the types of conversations and behavior that alcohol placed me in. And so, you can do your best to try to change as many habits as you want all at once, but I'm telling you what, it's going to require too much effort, and you're not going to change any of them. You need to just pick 1 or 2 habits to replace and stick with your plan until this new behavior becomes automatic. And it will make a tremendous difference in your life. I'll give you an example. If you're a salesperson who wants to increase your sales, don't attempt to overhaul your entire sales approach. Instead, you might decide to develop 2 new habits that could multiply your sales quickly. Examples might include being on the phone or in front of a prospect every single day by 9 a.m. and asking every person outright to make a high-dollar purchase. Just ask them to. Don't judge or assume anybody's ability. Instead, treat everybody the same as a high-value prospect. I'm telling you what, it'll change everything for you like that. You get on the phone every morning before 9 a.m. in front of a prospect asking them for a high-value sale. You know what's going to happen? Eventually, you're going to get a bunch of high-value sales. It's going to turn everything around for you, and you're going to be in the position or place that you want to be in. And it absolutely happens that way every single time with every person. That's just one example. I give you another example of how I had changed my personal life and how I utilized my free time. Now, that may have been a circumstance of my youth, and now that I'm a little bit older, I think those partying days are beyond me. But yeah, I'm a human, and I grew up in a circumstance where that type of behavior was accepted. But you know what? It wasn't right for me. And because the circumstances that revolve around the ways that I need to work in order to attain the goals and dreams that I have for my life are different than everybody else. I'm not saying that going to those establishments or engaging in that behavior is completely inappropriate. For some people, that may be right. But you know what? For me and my family, it just didn't work anymore. And changing a habit can take a fair amount of energy and understanding. But I'm going to promise you right now, it's 100% worth the effort. And if you're ready, I'm going to give you a few recommendations here for breaking a bad habit permanently. The first thing you want to do is identify it. Think of a bad habit that you'd like to break. You recognize that you have a habit that you consider bad by evaluating your behavior in areas where you're not getting the results you want. And that's what happens. You look around you and you say, am I going to get the results that I want in my life by either engaging in this activity or being in this place or being around these people? Are these things that are conducive to the type of results that I want in my life? And if a few habits come to mind, just pick one. The subconscious mind thrives on detail, so describe it in writing as vividly as you can. Sit down with your pen and paper, get out your black book, sit down with it, write out one bad habit you want to change. Describe it vividly. Where do you go? Or what do you do? And why is it that this specific habit is not going to get you where you want to go? Describe it vividly. Then I want you to think of the opposite. Write down every association that you connect with this habit, behavior, or result. Write it out, make sure that everything gets written out in explicit detail, and then ask yourself what the polar opposite of the behavior you want to change would be. Then write that out on the same sheet of paper right below the bad habit. When you're finished, burn the piece of paper with the unwanted behavior or results written on it. Although this is merely a symbolic gesture, it is important that you destroy it. Totally burn it. whatever it is you have going on in your life that you don't want there anymore. We did that with all the things that were negative in our lives initially when we started setting goals. Remember, you wrote 2 lists. One was the things you wanted to accomplish, your dreams, your goals, your desires, the things that you were going to work on one by one and check them off until you had built the type of life that you wanted to live. Now you also created a list of bad things, people, places, circumstances, ideas, things that you have in your life that you didn't want to have there anymore. What did we do with that piece of paper? We went to a safe place and we lit that son of a gun on fire. We burned it. We released all that negativity, all those negative circumstances. We released those people, those places, and those ideas. And we decided we were going to be done with that. And that was gone. And now we were going to focus on the list that we'd created of productive, positive ideas, places, circumstances, and goals that we wanted to achieve. You should still have that piece of paper. Get it out. I'm sure you do. Read it over and over a few times a day. I'm telling you what, it's really good when you're trying to remove some bad habits in your life that you remind yourself of all the good things you're trying to bring into your life. It can be an incredibly uplifting circumstance to do this, and write the positive behavior that you had originally identified that was the exact opposite of the bad habit that you were trying to remove a few times each day. Let's say 3 to 5 times. Write it down in explicit detail, the same thing over and over again, 3 to 5 times, and read it as frequently as you possibly can. You know what's going to happen? Eventually, the new idea will start to take root in your subconscious mind, which will take power away from the old habit. The harmful habit will die from a lack of nourishment, and the positive one will take over. Because you know what? You engage in the behaviors that you reinforce in your mind. Reinforce the positive, it will remove the negative. And then, next, get to the root or bottom of your habits. You can do that by asking yourself the following types of questions about the habit you want to change. Ask yourself this: why do I do this? Where did I get such an idea? What evidence do I have that this is a good idea? And keep on digging until you've exhausted every possible scenario. And then you're going to reprogram your mind. That now that you've identified the ideas, how they've developed, and why you're doing these bad things, you can create an affirmation that will help you reprogram your mind to create a new behavior. The affirmation should be the opposite of your paradigm. You need to read that affirmation out loud daily for 30 days or more. You want to make sure that you reinforce the new positive behavior that you're putting in place of the old habit or the bad behavior that you were placing accentuation on in the past. You want to make sure you replace that with something positive, and that's where our goal card comes in, right? So we work on one thing at a time. If your goal is to remove a bad habit, write the good habit on your goal card, the new habit, the new positive habit that you're establishing to replace the old habit. You carry this goal card around with you everywhere you go anyway, and make sure that you read it. My goal: I am so happy and grateful now that I am engaging in, and then whatever your new habit is that you're engaging in. But give no power to the old bad habit. You don't need to think about it. Don't feed it. Don't nourish it. Move on and engage yourself in the new positive behavior that's going to take you places, change your life, and reinforce your desire to be a better you and to be in a better place in life. And I hope you set aside some time to complete these tasks, because I want to see you get better results in your life. And although you likely won't recognize significant changes right away, sticking with this process can change your life for the better. Don't expect immediate results. habits die hard. They do, especially old bad habits that you've had in your life for years and years and years. They could be related to chemicals, they could be related to behaviors, emotions, the way that we approach certain circumstances. These are all things that we can change, but you're going to identify for yourself which habits or ideas you need to remove from your life. And then at that point in time, you're going to reinforce the new positive circumstance, and you're going to let that old you die and the new you flourish. And I know if anybody can do it, you can. You have all the tools and instruments necessary right here to make the big changes, to have the better life, and to create better circumstances within your life. Remember, if you want to change your life, you gotta change your life. If you want different results, you need to do different things. And doing different things can include going to different places, being around different people. You can change things and watch it change you. It works like magic. It really does. And it won't take as much effort as you think. You may think, by the time I write all this down, I'm not going to have time to do the other things I need to get done in my day. I think you're going to find that your mind will readily and easily accept the death of a bad habit, and will actually welcome and will flourish and nourish new positive attitudes and new positive ideas. The body and the mind are for our personal growth. When we're doing negative things or destroying our health and destroying our thoughts with negativity and negative people and negative places, that has an impact, and it can be disagreeable. Although you may not functionally disagree with it outwardly, internally, your heart may disagree with the things you're doing. Try something positive. Watch the change. It'll impact you in every aspect of your life. People will notice. Positive, better circumstances will come into your life as a result of these changes that you're willing to make. It will happen. It may not happen immediately, but be patient, because it will happen. And when it does, everything will get better. It's amazing. It's incredible. You know what? It's almost like magic. It's almost hard to believe when it happens. But when it does, you'll never go back to your old way of living again. Friends, I care about you. I think you're so amazing. Again, if anybody can do this, you can. And if you have any other ways that you've identified that have helped you to remove bad habits from your life, I'd love to hear about those in the comments of this video. And I think the community would also love to hear your ideas. So please feel free to leave some comments. We'd love to hear from you. I hope you have a beautiful day. Take care, my friends. Talk to you tomorrow.